Exhibit A in Things I Do Not Understand. Why? When that side's done correctly. So by definition, these, like, why? What? Why? The piece of board that served as a baseboard that was in front of this was full on 2 inches taller and not even shaped. Someone just tacked a plank on this wall to cover up this mistake. Crazy. Exhibit B, in Questions That Will Never Have Answers. What, pray, is painter's tape for if you're gonna paint over it anyway? Right over the sockets with the weird dirty green that these walls were covered in. Right over the electric work. But painter's tape first. This is all over the house. Painter's tape that who knows how old it is, but it's been there forever. Look at that. Somebody did this.
Oh, so, here's what's going on. When we moved, we transported 40 boxes of books, approximately. We are both library and information science professionals, or I am a former one anyway. And it's been super fun, actually, starting to sort through things and try to arrange bookshelving and get everything going. But obviously, the lovely part of all that is that since I'm not at work, I don't have to do this neatly. I can just do it however my neurodivergent brain needs to do it. So currently, the problem that we are facing is that this is nowhere near all of our books. I spent ages, I should probably stop moving the camera so much. I spent ages building these shelves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6 shelves here. Ooh, that's gone all dark. It's been ages since I used this camera. I don't remember how to lighten it. Sorry, guys. I spent ages, let me see if I can do that. One sec. Yeah. There we go. So I spent ages building these shelves and also 5 other shelves in the other room, which I'll show in just a second. So the books in this room don't all need to go on these shelves, but I'm going to need to build more shelves, is basically what's happening. And what I'm thinking I'm basically going to do is, previously this was like, and still is partly, fantasy, witchcraft books, you know, all books sort of pertaining more exclusively to me rather than my partner. But I'm thinking what's actually going to happen is that this is going to need to be the fantasy, folk tales, folk material, fairy tales, and probably also medieval history and Irish medieval history kind of shelf. So I think, for example, up at the top there, I have some art technique books and tarot books. I have tarot and witchcraft books. And then down at the bottom, I also have like fairy lore and witchcraft oriented books. Those at the very least are going to have to come off of this shelf and go upstairs. So like all books related to my practice, the practice elements of practice, and so on and so forth. Art, witchcraft, tarot, and such are going to have to go upstairs, and I will have to build more of these shelves up there. Hopefully I will be able to build them just a tiny bit smaller, because these are deep enough that I don't really need to be replicating the depth of these, I don't think. And maybe what I'll do up there in the witchy room is have like a small portable, almost like library trolley, but more like a book trough, and then maybe a few shelves above, because I would like to also have my tarot decks on display, but I also don't want to crowd the room with shelving. So we'll have to see how that works out. Without overdoing the eating up small rooms with storage space. That's part of the reason I built these into the wall, actually, is that any bookcase is going to have the backing board and then usually also a bit of sort of a molding, what's it called? Bar at the bottom of the shelf as well. That at least means that it often can't be flush with a wall and so on and so forth. And I just wanted to minimize excess bulk, and this is also very customizable. If I ever needed to, I could just, rip them back out again. It is, after all, now my wall. So that's, I think, what's going to happen there. And as you can see, I am sorting through all of the fantasy material. So much. Horror, sci-fi, vampire books, more books to go, probably in the main sitting room along with my partner's books. A lot of these are his. I can't even see right now what's in here. Oh, Calvin and Hobbes is at the bottom. So yeah, a lot of coffee table books. We're gonna have to come up with a rotating system for those. So if I just scoot now into our other room. This is the floor that I painted. Isn't it pretty? It's not a cranberry color. I can't quite tell how it's coming out on camera. It's more of this, yeah, the color was called a red ochre, and it is more of an actual ochre, not quite brick, more crimson than brick. Anyway, it's ochre. That's the color. So I painted the floor, put the carpets down. These two chairs are not going to stay. There's two more chairs like it. We've put them up online for free, and I think actually today someone's going to come and pick them up. Suitcase is going to get out of here. This chair will eventually be in my witchy study upstairs. So a couch is going to go in this corner once it gets here. We have two little kittens now, so it is in fact a modern couch that we will cover with throw things. And this is also part of the reason that all of the antiques in terms of our furniture are not break the bank level stuff. They are lovely and beautiful. You can't really see right now, but there's a beautiful carving all along here. They are beautiful, lots of old vintage and antique oak, because I like that. But it's nothing that is going to, be a genuine conservation-based tragedy or something if the kittens rough things up a little bit. Besides, I'm clumsy, so I'm prone to roughing things up. This chair has been broken for ages because my parents didn't listen to me and didn't insure it when they shipped the furniture. So thus, any repairs, which inevitably needed to be done because the shippers cracked this plastic here, is one of the back legs and one of the sidebars. The shippers cracked the leg right off. Who knows if we'll be able to make it sittable again, but it needs to be repaired, and that needs to come out of pocket now. So it's just been years of me not getting it done. And then this chair in the back we recently acquired. Again, not break the bank level stuff. I thought I'd measured it properly, but only my partner can sit in that. My ass is far too large. When you are 50 to 51 inches, depending on the day, in circumference right around the bum, there are certain things you can't sit in. So he's quite smug about that. He's calling it his throne. Yeah, so let's see. We have more books in here, more books in there. I'm pretty sure my Colored Fairy books by Andrew Lang are in there, so I have to get in there like soon to help deal with the other room. And then these are in no order at all because we packed them in the boxes in no particular order, and I just stacked them on the shelves as they came out of the boxes in an attempt to see, roughly speaking, the kind of volume of books, shall we say square meters worth of books that I could cram onto these shelves. I built these the other day. The wall was quite hard to drill into, even with the impact drill. It's supposed to be concrete back there and then obviously like layers of plaster before, like in front of that. But I found that at different parts of the wall, the depth and feel of what I was drilling into was wildly different. And furthermore, the original plan for these shelves was to have them flush with this wall here. But we actually could not figure out where the wires were at all. So we just played it safe in the end and made sure that there was plenty of space in line with the wires. So curtailed shelving plans. There were originally supposed to be 6 shelves, and they were supposed to extend to be flush with the wall to create a real sort of like library side of the room, and that has not been able to happen. So we'll probably put like a standing lamp, and like a nice antique standing lamp there. And I'm thinking we will find a nice low squat sort of antique shelving unit and put it underneath these shelves so that we can extend our book space down. Because, yeah, we have a lot of books. We had a lot of books, and we don't want to like start out with all of our shelves full, right? Shelves are for filling, clearly. Actually, now is a good chance to show sort of what these shelves looked like. I sanded and stained the wood myself, and obviously drilled into the wall with an impact drill, and screwed and mounted the shelves myself. I made a slight mistake with them in the sense that they are all kind of too close to each other. I was hoping for a sort of a narrow look in the first place, but I probably should have made each one at least 1 inch further away from each other. I think it's about 10 or so inches away, and I could have gone with 11 or 12 at the very least. The ones in the other room are all a foot apart, and they definitely actually fit most books, whereas these, not so much. But that's okay. Outsized books will, once I get rid of those and put them upstairs, will likely go up there. So, yeah, and just to be a quote-unquote good YouTuber, I am also going to quickly spin around, make everybody terribly dizzy, and just show some of the progress shots on these walls. All the coats done on this tree, 2 coats done on this one, and only the first coat on this one. And I need to do in this room probably 2 or 3 more of these at least. I do think I want at least 6 spread throughout the room in strategic places. So obviously leaving most of the space for art to still go up on the walls. And then eventually there will be a different non-disgusting lampshade here with the wiring all fixed and a black light in there. You can see I still have a little bit of patch paint work to do up on the ceiling, because you can kind of see where I messed up things a bit. So I gotta fix that. Fixed it mostly here. Not a perfect color match and still needs a little work in a few places, but definitely looking better. So yeah, huzzah. Documenting things sort of semi-properly a little bit, maybe, not really. long time no film or talk. I was in the mood this morning to finally sort of just record a little bit of an update and just chat. I have nothing particularly planned to say, but I do have hopefully some usable footage of just bits and bobs here and there of what's been going on here lately that in some way or other may serve to explain the long silence on this platform, whatever that means. But essentially, I have moved, finally. It was a process that was honestly well over a year in the making for reasons I won't bother to explain, other than anyone who lives in Ireland knows what it can be like, and it was that and then some in certain ways and not in others for us. But I'm feeling very, 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 very grateful and feeling relaxed in certain ways for the first time in many years. We have a house now, and that means I can work on actually decorating and having some more actual agency over my space. It means many things, obviously, but one of the things that it means is that I can have a bit more creative, autonomous control over my space, and that's essentially what I have been working on since we moved. We moved technically right around Sorren, actually. I think our purchase went through about at Lunasa, actually. And then finally, due to our notice period and things like that, we were able to move right around Sorren, just slightly after. And so I have been working kind of nonstop in that super hyper fixation kind of way on getting the house a bit more arranged, a bit unpacked, a bit decorated. Things are very much still messy and in progress, but at least now we're not so thoroughly surrounded by boxes. We can, move a bit more without having to climb over things. It's been a super interesting, super fun, super life-affirming thing. And it's something that obviously on my channel over time I have alluded to the fact that we were very unhappy in our apartment. I always wanted to keep that in perspective, especially with the housing market being what it is in Ireland. We were very fortunate to have somewhere to live that we could technically afford. It's crazy to me how much more affordable it is once you actually have the house and are paying the mortgage. And that's part of the situation, probably in many places, but especially in Ireland, it's a terrible, terrible setup. So I'm just feeling super, super grateful, very, very grateful. And I want to be very conscientious about how I talk about that stuff. But I figured I would film bits and pieces of some of the creative work that I've been doing on this place. The nook that you're seeing me sit in right now is essentially part of our dining room / attachment to our kitchen. And in this corner in particular, like I have, things going on all throughout the house, obviously. But in this corner, these shelves, I recently built them myself directly into the wall. And they have sort of medieval inspired cast iron supports that are screwed directly into the wall. And I had to learn to use an impact drill to do that because this particular wall is concrete. And I'm painting various walls all around the house. I did basic paint layers for most of the rooms, with a few exceptions, obviously, because, like, for example, our kitchen, we've been actually just having to use. So I've washed the walls in the kitchen, but not painted them yet, or sanded or painted them yet. Most of the paint in this house was that I guess that's referred to online as like landlord paint, the dusty stuff that if you rub it too hard, it registers your fingerprints, but it also comes off on your finger. So not cleanable, not washable, really. So scrubbing it down, sanding it, painting base coats of higher quality paint to get the place cleaned up and more living proof is something I've been working on. So I've painted, I think I have footage of this, I've painted our sitting room, a sort of a bone or alabaster color on the walls. It was formerly something that I think once upon a time had intended to be sage green, but clearly did not turn out that way. So alabaster colors on the walls. I I did the floor, which we ripped up. I personally ripped up the terrible wall-to-wall carpeting that was in there to reveal a cement floor underneath, which I've just left bare, cleaned it up, tidied it up, and then painted it a red ochre color for all of the delicious medieval references, and actually just in general human history references. Covered that over with area rugs rather than wall-to-wall carpeting, built some more shelves into the wall in that room, repaired a giant terrible hole in the front part of that room where our couch is going to be, which I think is where a radiator used to be attached essentially. And whatever had happened with that radiator, the attempt that whoever had lived here before had made to fix it was just the strangest thing ever. Nothing matched, none of the plaster seemed to line up. It was just very, very strange. So I ended up cutting out all of the damage in the wall and then repairing and replastering it myself. So a lot of DIY. My partner and I have been making jokes about me, like I should walk around with like a tool belt or something now, because apparently I'm you know, the agent of fix-itness in this house. So yeah, lots of strange colors going on. Working on my witchy room as well, because I do very, very luckily have a space for myself and my own witchcraft supplies and things. So working on that, working on murals on those walls, having also cleaned down and given a base coat paint to those walls. Need to eventually rip up the carpeting in there, but I'm not sure what type of flooring is underneath it at the moment. Or rather, like whether or not it's usable. It's probably just normal subflooring, but I don't know if it's usable, so that'll be a future project. But for now, murals on the walls, area rugs to cover the ugly wall-to-wall carpeting, you know, all of that sort of thing. So as and when I am able to remember to do so, I'm going to film bits and bobs of the creative process. And for example, in this room, you will see some footage of me working on silhouettes of sort of white ghostly trees on these yellow walls. And the purpose behind that basically is that I want them to fluoresce under black light. I have a lampshade, antique lampshade that I purchased really from several of the rooms, different types. So the one in this room is a bit more vintage. Technically, I think it's vintage rather than antique, but I'm not actually sure. I have to double check the information that I have sort of cataloged about it. But I'm going to put a black light bulb in there, black light bulb, and we'll have other lighting in the room, including the various fairy lights that I'm currently surrounded by. Little bats, little hands, some chili peppers. So yes, white ghostly trees on the walls, and then very likely with fluorescent, probably orange dots going in patterns, because this is going to be the sensory/dancing room where I want to dance. There's technically enough space that if I scoot over our dining table, I will even be able to hula hoop if I wish, which is really exciting because I'm a nerd. And actually the table that I have you perched on right now is our dining table, and we got it secondhand. I think it probably was a kid's like art room table previously, because there was like marker stuff on it and little bits of, you know, sellotape and things like that that were kind of like clearly very old and crusted into it. So it still needs some sanding down and so on, but it was also far too large. So I actually cut the table down myself by hand with an actual hand saw. And yeah, I have been sort of slowly in stages as my muscles have been recovering because I'm a weakling, sanding the table by hand as well. And then I'm going to paint it black, and then eventually do, is it rosemaling or rosemaling pronunciation-wise? But yeah, essentially Scandinavian folk art inspired organic motifs in various places on the table. So yeah, I think that's all I really have to say for now. Oh, except that we also, as part of it, as if that wasn't enough chaos really, we also got Kittens right before Christmas. It was always our intention to get pets as soon as we had a place where we could get pets. And right after we moved, a friend of mine messaged me saying basically that she and her partner, who's also like the two of them are very, very good friends of mine, she and her partner were going to be getting a companion cat, hopefully, companion kitten for their slightly older cat, whose name is Merlin. And that a coworker of hers had kittens that she was fostering. However, that there was more than just one kitten, and would I be interested in the other kittens potentially? And of course, as she messaged this to me, she sent me photographs. So I am only vaguely speaking human. And I really, the plan was originally to like get more settled and so on first, but once you send me photos of the actual kittens, I was like, well, I have to go meet them at the very least, you know. So I met them, and oh my goodness, we all three went, and we confessed to each other afterwards actually that we were a bit worried that like, oh no, what if we all fall in love with the same kitten? How are we going to manage that? And obviously my plan was to give them precedence, because they were the ones who even notified me that kittens were available in our area. But as it turned out, we all fell in love with separate kittens. So there were 4 kittens in total, one of which at the time was tentatively spoken for and later adopted by someone else. One of which they fell in love with, and 2 of which I fell in love with. So I have now a little 3-month-old black kitten and a little 5-month-old fluffy ginger kitten. And they have one of my kitten's siblings. And so, yeah, and my little black kitten is named Puka, and he has green eyes, and he's beautiful. And my little 5-month-old ginger kitten is fluffy as heck, and so tawny and butterscotchy and gingery, and his name is Gurgi, or Gurgi. I also allow people to say Gurgi because I think actually technically that's probably closer to how it's supposed to be said. For those of you who know the Chronicles of Prydain, you know that I'm referring to their food as crunchings and munchings. You know, it's very much a if you know, you know. If you're a nerd, you're a nerd. So yes, little Puka and Gurgi, and or Gurgi. My preference is Gurgi. So, yeah, if I have any footage that seems reasonable of them, I will include that in this video. It's crazy because every time I get footage or a photograph, within less than a week, they're already so much bigger than they were in that photo. So it feels weird to show, like, for example, I might have to choose footage if I'm sort of too busy to get some more footage of them today or in the next few days. I may have to show footage from like 2 weeks ago, and that's weird because they're already bigger than that. Puka in particular had a rough start medically from the situation that he was rescued from. He was originally part of a litter of 4, and one of them didn't make it. 3 of them did make it and got fostered out. So anyway, he's a little bit on the small side, but anyway, he's growing. I'm going to stop talking now because I'm about to run out of battery, and hopefully the rest of the footage will turn out into something usable. Nice to be filming again, and I'll see you guys next time, or if I do another update in the meantime. Bye!
Is that Puka? Yeah? What you squeaking for? Oh, hello, sir. How you doing? You squeaking too? It's not lunchtime, you know. You're so pretty. You're both so pretty.